What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day as always. Today we're going over all things beadlocks. We're going to go over these Injora 42-gram brass beadlocks to begin with. Now in a heavy build like this Ripper, it's going to be a huge game changer to have that weight down low and lower the center of gravity. Makes it a little bit harder for this thing to flip over. Keep in mind, all products we're going to go over today will be linked down below in the description for you guys to check out if you want to pick up a set for yourself. Now let's go over why you might want beadlocks. So beadlocks, what they do is grip the tire onto the wheel itself. So when the wheel's spinning, the tire is guaranteed to spin with it, instead of you possibly running into the issue of your wheel spinning, not holding onto the tire stays planted, especially on large scale crawlers like real life ones. You really want beadlocks on those. On these, it's not as big of a deal, but you still might run into a situation where your tire gets pinched up in a rock, the wheel's spinning, the tire's sitting still, you're not going anywhere. So you might want to pick up beadlocks, especially since they're on these little crawlers the same price as normal wheels. I'd say just go for it. But now let's head over to the workbench, show you guys how to mount these up, get them all set up. These are actually very straightforward beadlocks, and we'll go ahead and compare them weight-wise to a normal set of beadlocks I have compared to these brass ones. So we've got the wheels here unpacked and everything, and I'm really actually liking the style of these wheels. They look more like a realistic real-life wheel you'd find on an actual Jeep. And I also think the color matches this red really, really well. So I'm excited to see how this looks once they're all set up. So for these beadlocks, let's go ahead and weigh them first, see what they come out to, and get us an idea if they're all actually truly 42 grams. So we'll go ahead and toss this on the scale, and it is reading 41, and it does not have all its hardware in it. It has one bolt, so we'd probably be looking at right about 42 grams. Now let's go ahead and compare that to a non-brass wheel. So this one is 18 grams, so that's quite a difference, especially when you say that there's 4 wheels on this thing. That's adding a ton of unsprung weight to the bottom of this rig, so it should be very difficult to flip over compared to not having these wheels installed. Now this will be less of an issue if you have a lighter build, for example, like a Lexan body or something that just does not weigh as much as this big, heavy 3D printed body. For example, give you a little sneak peek of a new project we're working on, but this one weighs not even half as what the Little Guy Racing Parts Ripper weighs. So it probably doesn't need the brass wheels. However, they're not going to hurt it. They're actually probably still going to be beneficial to run. So we're going to be mounting these on some Little Guy Racing Parts Swamp King tires. These are probably one of my favorite tires to run. So first we're going to get this brass ring installed on the inside of the tire, right inside of the foam. So I'll give you guys a better look at that. This is probably the easiest step. It's kind of hard to show on camera, but you just put the brass ring right inside there. Then it doesn't really matter on these wheels which face you start with, so I'm going to start with the outside face. We're going to make sure this gets seated to where it's pinching the bead of the tire between that ring on the inside and the face, right in this little gap here. You're going to want to make sure that you grab the tire and it's stuck between in that gap. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the wheel around, and we'll install the backside into this. Now it's a little tricky because you're going to want to get it lined up to where the bolts will be able to go through easily. It's kind of hard and kind of just trial and error. Now once that's all installed, we're going to go ahead and grab our hardware and get to work on that. Now this one only has a few bolts that go through the inside here, and that's not too bad. Some of the other beadlock wheels like these, each one of these little silver bolts is a real bolt that you're going to have to do. So they're a little less fun than these, but this shouldn't take too long at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get these bolts started, and we'll get to work on bolting them up. What I like to do is do one and then do the one directly across from it that pretty much holds them all into space. And then you're just going to want to go ahead and get them started. You're not going to want to tighten them all down right away. You're going to want to go ahead and do kind of a star pattern just like you would on a real vehicle if you were changing the tire. Now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this because it takes a little while to get them all in there, and you want to make sure you get them all right and everything seats properly for them to actually work as beadlocks. But once it's all done, it's well worth the little bit of extra work it would take over normal wheels. Alright, so we got it all wrapped up, all the hardware is in, and this is the final look, and I'm really liking how this looks. Let's see what it weighs all together. Looks like we're sitting at right about 68 grams, which is super heavy for just such a small wheel and tire. And we're going to have 4 of these on there, so we're adding a ton of weight down low on this setup, and that should help us with our side hill and everything like that, not flipping over with this heavy rig. So all four sit at 232 grams, which is quite a bit, especially on one of these little SCX24s. Let's get a final weight of this. Looks like we're at right about 298, and that's with the brass wheel weights, which is still unsprung weight, so that's kind of doing the same thing as the wheels. So realistically, we're probably about 50-50 between unsprung weight and then how much the body weighs and everything like that. But I really like how this wheel turned out, especially on these tires. Looks awesome, and I think it's going to match this red really, really well. All right, now you know why you might want beadlocks. Now you know how to mount them. Now, why would you want heavy beadlocks? So on a build like this, especially the Ripper chassis, it's 3D printed, so it's a bit heavier than your standard, like, just to give you a sneak peek of an upcoming build, but it's a bit heavier than like a Lexan body. So what you want on a build like this is to get most of the weight down low. That's going to make it harder for it to flip over when it's on side hills. And a good way to do that is add brass heavy axles. Now this has the 3D printed Super 8 axles, so there's not a ton of weight down there. However, I do have brass wheel weights, and then now we have brass wheels. And we weighed this, and the wheels and wheel weights alone weigh basically the same amount. It's within a couple grams as the body. So it's about 50-50. Ideally, you'd have a little more weight down low, just so that way it's kind of impossible to flip over unless you're actually on a hill that's going to flip you. So now that you know all of that, let's go ahead, we'll head downstairs, hit the indoor course, and see how this thing performs with its new brass wheels. So the course is still definitely a work in progress since you guys saw it last, and we still have some pretty good obstacles to test this. This hill right here was a huge issue with it rolling on its side. I hope this video helped you figure out a little bit more about beadlocks, why you might want them, and why you might want some brass beadlocks. If you have a heavier SCX24 build or any build in general, you might want to keep that weight down low. So hopefully this video helped out. If it did, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tons more content to come out. We're also taking the content to a whole new level quality-wise. This is just like a temporary setup until the new studio is all set up. We actually got a new camera set up for these future videos, a nice mic setup. All this content is going to be taken to a whole new level as far as quality goes. It'll probably be some of the highest quality RC content you've seen. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe, stay up to date on some of our builds. We're going to be doing some big giveaways. I'm not going to tell you exactly what in the future. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. I will link that down below in the description as well. And like I said in the beginning of this video, all products we went over, for example, these Injora beadlocks, will be linked in the description for you guys to check out. These beadlocks are definitely a game changer if you have a heavier build like this little guy racing parts Ripper. So I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.